Do you see what I see?
Do you see what I see?
Way up in the sky, little lamb. Do you see what I see?
Do you see what I see?
A star, dancing in the night, with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite. Said the little lamb to the shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I hear?
Ringing through the sky, shepherd boy. Do you hear what...
First up on today's show, we have a story from Jackson on Comet Leonard.
Then we have Jacob with a story on the U.S. Olympics boycott.
And to close out the show, a spectacular episode of Global Conflict.
All that and more on this episode of Flyer News.
We say crazy things like I refuse to look back thinking days were better just because of younger days. I don't know what's round the corner where I feel right now. I swear we'll never change. Back when we were kids, swore we will never die.
Good morning, FHS. Today is Thursday, December 9th, with periods running CBGFE. I'm Brian Fintonis.
And I'm Tia Dilva. The stars have recently been absolutely gorgeous.
Could not agree more. The comet Leonard is coming around very soon. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was on the 12th.
You're right, Brian. Let's hear more from our very own Jackson.
At the beginning of 2021, a new comet was discovered, which has since been given the name Leonard. When it was discovered, it appeared very small because it was near Jupiter's orbit. Now, it is coming close to Earth. It is being said to be the largest comet of the year. Most likely, binoculars or a telescope will be needed to see the comet, although it could be visible with the naked eye depending on how dark the sky is. Right now, to see the comet, a wake-up time of about 5 a.m. is necessary. This past Monday was the best viewing time when the comet was near Arcturus. Later this month, there will be another chance to see Leonard, this time in the evening. From December 17th on, the comet will be visible between Venus and the horizon. After that, the comet will be visible to viewers in the southern hemisphere. Many people have been comparing Leonard to Neowise. Last summer, Neowise was visible to the naked eye, and described as the comet of this century. No matter the viewing time, Leonard will most likely not be as bright as Neowise. I'd recommend going out to see Leonard, as its 80,000-year orbit means we will be the last humans to see it from where we are. For Flyer News, this has been Jackson's Wild. Now let's send it back to the desk.
A scuba diving YouTuber discovered a submerged car in Tennessee. This YouTuber may have cracked the case of 2 missing Tennessee teens after discovering that it was a car that was found at the bottom of a local river. The car was the same that the Tennessee teens went missing in 21 years ago. The YouTuber used sonar technology and scuba dives to solve the missing persons case on his channel. He went to Sparta, Tennessee last month to search for the car that the teens were last seen in. Human remains were found in the vehicle and were sent off to genetic DNA testing to compare them with dental records. It's nice to see that the driver was finally able to bring closure to these families.
On Tuesday, December 7th, more than 40 earthquakes ravaged the northwestern parts of the United States. The quakes began on Tuesday afternoon and continued into Wednesday morning. They were reported between 200 and 250 miles apart. Quote, if you had asked me yesterday where on Earth would be the most likely to produce a bunch of 5.0 plus magnitude earthquakes in a single day, this would have been high on my list, said Harold Tobin of the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network of the University of Washington. The worry of the safety of this area has begun in full force, and no one is surprised. The northwestern area is home to the largest earthquake to have ever hit the United States. Scientists theorize this may be the beginning of a few series of violent strick-slipe swarms that could potentially continue through the next few months or years. On Monday, the United States announced a boycott to the Beijing 2022 Olympics.
Really? That's going to be terrible for the athletes.
Thankfully, we have Jacob Cohen with his story covering all the need-to-knows on the situation.
Take it away, Jacob.
You may have heard that the U.S. is doing a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing. What that means is that the U.S. will not be sending any government officials to represent the country, but this will have no effect on the athletes who will participate in the Games as normal. The reasoning for this is China's abuse of human rights against the Uyghur Muslims. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chair Robert Mendes called on, quote, other allies and partners that share our values to join with the United States in this diplomatic boycott, end quote. This boycott received backlash in both directions. Republican Senator Tom Cotton argued that the boycott did not go far enough, stating that, quote, the United States should fully boycott the Games in Beijing, and, quote, we must not expose Team USA to the dangers of what he called a repugnant regime that disappears its own athletes. The Biden administration responded to these claims, stating that they felt that it was unfair to punish U.S. athletes who trained so hard for this moment. The point of this boycott was to send China a message without ruining the game for the Olympic athletes, and it is doing just that. China responded to these boycotts by threatening retaliation and accusing America of politicizing sports, while U.S. allies such as Australia and New Zealand have also joined in on the boycott. Be sure to look out for info as this interesting story continues to unfold. For now, reporting for Flyer News, this has been Jacob Cohen.
Hey Tia, have you heard about the recent news in Germany, Russia, and Ukraine?
Yeah, I heard Germany got a new chancellor. What happened in Russia and Ukraine?
Many things. Let's take it over to Zach Steiglitz on the global conflicts.
Hello, and welcome back to Global Conflicts. To start, Olaf Scholz has been sworn in as Germany's new chancellor. He will be taking power after Angela Merkel's 16 years as leader. Olaf promised that he would do all that he could to work towards a new start for Germany. Ms. Merkel told Olaf, who was her former vice chancellor, to approach the task with joy. In other news, Bipin Rawat, who used to be India's top general, died in a helicopter crash. The tragedy included the deaths of Chief of Defense Staff Jin Bipin Rawat and his wife and 11 others after the Mi-17 V5 helicopter came down in the hills near Connor City on Wednesday morning. The Indian Air Force said it ordered an investigation into the incident that occurred in foggy weather. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, a true patriot, he greatly contributed to the modernizing of our army forces and security apparatus. His insights and perspectives on strategic matters were infectious. His passings away has saddened me deeply. To end the episode, here's what's happening with the Russian-Ukraine tension. In the past few months, a buildup of Russian troops have came to the Ukraine border. U.S. officials say Putin is assembling a force that is expected to total 175,000 troops, giving him the means to order an invasion by early 2022. It is unclear if Russia wants to reassemble the former Soviet Union or warn off NATO from developing closer ties with Ukraine. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Global Conflicts. I'm Zach Steiglitz, and back to the desk.
Unfortunately, that's all for today's episode of Flyer News. You can rewatch this broadcast at 5 and 7 o'clock on channels 8 Comcast and 15 RCN or 41 Verizon Fios.
Or you can rewatch this and other broadcasts under the FEC TV tab on the school's website or on our YouTube channel. I'm Brian Fintonis.
And I'm Tia Dilva. And don't leave just yet. We have a new episode of The Early Bird with Griffin Yarmaloff and his sidekick, Shay Curry.
But that's all from us. Have a great day, FHS.
You're as cuddly as a cactus, you're as charming as an eel, Mr. Greenish. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster,